Guys, I decided to do another show today because just after I finished recording, we got news of the Bulls signing Billy Donovan, Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_Beeble and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Now, I just released a show, you've probably seen it, talking about the Atlanta Hawks season review, but as I finished doing that, the news came through that Billy Donovan was hired by the Chicago Bulls. So I don't know how long this show is going to be. It might only be 5 minutes. But I thought I'd just get some thoughts out here about Billy Donovan and that hire by the Bulls. And let's just get this out of the way. It's an upgrade on Jim Boylen. I don't think anybody could deny that. And that is great for this Chicago team. They've upgraded their GM from the Garpax bullshit up to getting Karnisovas, who has made the two good decisions. He fired Jim Boylen, and he's brought in a coach who is not someone who's completely out of place in the NBA. But I am not convinced that this is the right move for the Chicago Bulls. I think that Billy Donovan is fine as a coach. I think that the Thunder were one of the biggest surprises in the NBA this season. No doubt about that. They took the Rockets to the 7th game. I thought they could beat the Rockets in that game. They won 44 games out of the 72 that they played. 61% winning percentage. He's got a career 61% win percentage in the NBA through those 5 seasons with OKC. It's a great record. There's no doubt about that. Like, really, really good record. The changeover of the team, losing Westbrook and Paul George, and then still fashioning themselves into a 5 seed, is a huge deal for that team. I'm not sure how much of any of this is Billy Donovan, and that's maybe being a little unfair to him. Maybe it's because I just look at this Bulls team and we have these younger players: Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter, Kobe White, the 4th pick coming up in this draft, Zach LaVine. It's a whole bunch of younger guys. How does Donovan develop those players? Did he have some success developing Lou Dort this year? Absolutely. Did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander take a step forward? Yes. Was Dennis Schroeder much better this year? Yes. But he was also trash the year before, so which one do we give credit or blame for there for Donovan? Donovan has some interesting things. I think that the improvement this year was more of a Chris Paul thing than a Billy Donovan thing. Getting Chris Paul, Gilgeous-Alexander, and Gallinari in is a huge boost to your team. When we look at what they were able to do, they are big parts of what they did. I think that Donovan, his inability to structure offenses or teams that were able to be good teams around Russell Westbrook and not let Westbrook just do whatever he wanted to, I think is a detriment to where Donovan is as a coach. I don't know. There is no one like Westbrook on the Bulls, so I don't think that's necessarily going to be a problem. But he had issues reining in Westbrook in his style of play that was detrimental at times, especially in the playoffs. That was a real concern for Billy Donovan. And while I think it is absolutely an upgrade over Boylen, I'm just not inspired by it. Kenny Atkinson, I think, would have been a brilliant coach to bring in to develop these young guys, to get everyone working towards being a good team. Trying a Wes Unseld Jr., Adrian Griffin, trying Becky Hammond maybe. Maybe I don't think they're really going in that direction. But I don't know. I feel... Now, Donovan hasn't won less than 57% of his games. His worst season as a head coach was a 47-35 season in 16-17. He coached Kevin Durant. He coached Russell Westbrook. He coached Paul George. He's coached a lot of stars. He doesn't have that level of star. Coach Chris Paul, he doesn't have that level of player with Chicago. So we'll see how much of this excellent record and really, really strong record We'll see how much of this excellent record was those players or was it Donovan. He's lost in the first round in the playoffs 4 consecutive years. Now, the Bulls would kill to get into the first round of the playoffs, so that's an upgrade there. But they've lost 4 consecutive years in the first round. They have won 7 playoff games in 4 years, while losing 16. That's not a great record. And that's, I guess, what I worry a little bit here with Donovan, is it just feels like he can go a little bit on autopilot through the regular season. Now, he is a guy that rotations extremely stable, and most of the time they made sense, which is great for us from a fantasy point of view. Like, it's just great to know what you're going to get out of guys on an every night basis, and that's exactly what Donovan brings, or did bring in Oklahoma City. But he also had some questionable things in terms of reliance on guys like Terrence Ferguson, Hamidou Diallo, playing these wings, and it's sort of what he was given with Sam Presti. These weird, extraordinarily low usage players getting minutes who struggle at times. I don't know. I feel like I'm absolutely in the minority here in talking about Billy Donovan, and I don't hate it. I don't think he's bad. I'm just not convinced that he's good. I think, again, for fantasy, I think it'll be fine because he's really stable and he doesn't make stupid decisions in general. I think we can get that out of the way. That's fine. And we wouldn't know what to expect with a Wes Unseld or with bringing in an Adrian Griffin. You wouldn't know. Or Kenny Atkinson, you can have that frustration with large rotations and low minutes. And that's all fine. So I think from a fantasy point of view, it actually works pretty well for these Bulls players to get a guy like Billy Donovan in. But for the actual team itself, I don't know. I just feel like Chicago could have been bolder. It is, and it feels stupid saying this. Much like when I criticize the Knicks hiring Tom Thibodeau, who's got this massive win percentage in his career, and you go, Josh, what are you talking about? Like, this guy's got this huge win percentage. Why is it a bad hire? And that's sort of how I'm feeling here. I'm conflicted. I'm going, the Bulls hired Billy Donovan. Like, fine. That's how I feel. I just feel fine. Like, it's just not that interesting to me. It's not that. I don't see the upside. And maybe the Bulls don't need upside at this point. Maybe they need someone to come in and say, we are not a shit show. And there is value in that. Now, I don't think that Billy Donovan comes in as a hard taskmaster that's going to reel in players and going to establish what is Billy Donovan's scheme anyway? Like, what is his ethos as a coach? I don't actually know what it is, because I don't think we really got that idea from him in Oklahoma City. It was just like what Russ does and now what Chris Paul does. Like, that is what his game plans seem to be. So that's, I guess, why I'm worried. He just felt like a person who was there, who was wearing a suit, who was a figurehead, who didn't really seem to have an impact. And that's fine. You can be the 15th best coach in the NBA, the 10th best coach in the NBA, but are you a difference maker? And do you have the upside to become a difference maker? Again, maybe the Bulls don't need that at this point. They just need someone to come in and not be literally the worst coach in the NBA. Not a high bar to clear, but they've cleared it pretty comfortably. Donovan is firmly middle of the pack, 15 to 8 in coaching rankings, somewhere in that area. I probably should do my coaching ranks at some point. But I just don't think it's all that exciting, and I think the Bulls could have done better in this scenario. We will see how that works out, but I'm not sure what he is actually good at. I just don't know what he brings that is good, and that is why I'm a little bit cautious with it. But hey, congratulations to the Bulls. Bulls fans, you got a new coach. It's significantly better than what you've had the last 2 head coaches, no doubt about that. We will see how it all works out. I'll leave you with that. I just want to give some quick short thoughts on Billy Donovan, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.